as Wilton makes a run ahead of him. Bergkamp suddenly changed pace through the centre. It's Bergkamp! That's magnificent! The move, and then this, which left Dabi's ass totally stranded.
Hello and welcome to Bergkamp Wonderland, a preview show for Man City v Arsenal, Clash of the Titans. It's the knockout of the champions. It's a fight to the death. It's Rocky IV. It's all that matters. And with me this afternoon, this morning, tonight, wherever on planet Earth, or indeed the universe you are, is Stan the man in... Is it sunny?
It's mild.
In mild Canada. How you doing, Stan?
I'm doing very well, and it's very good to be here with you all to preview the Man City game on Wednesday.
I wasn't even going to do a preview show, but because Stan is such an upstanding fine gentleman, he went, I'm free for a show tomorrow if you want. And I thought, bloody hell, that is lovely. There's now two people that asked me, are you up for a show when we need to do a show? Two people. That's it. It's lovely. That's.
Well, I need to talk to someone, Danny, because all I've been doing since since Friday, is thinking about the next game.
Yeah. Well, go on then. What's your thoughts on it? Actually, no, we've got a routine to go through, haven't we? Here we go. The usual old shenanigans. Where can you watch it? I hear absolutely nobody asking. Well, it's on BT Sport in the UK. And if you want to listen to it on the radio, it's on Radio 5 Live. I'm sure you can find ways around getting that if you really need to. Stan, pick a country, and I will tell you what country it is at.
Jamaica.
Oh, for Jamaica. It is on csport.tv. Right. Poof that out the window. Injuries. Tommy Ashley, we know. El Neni, we know. William Saliba. There's been a lot of chat about him not going to be back now. He's still, I think it was the Ornsteinio did a tweet today saying that they're still miles apart when it comes to signing the new contract, which is a little bit worrying, but I suppose maybe we can come to that a little bit later on. If we look at the head-to-head between Pep and Arteta, record against Arsenal for Pep, he managed 26 games, he won 19, drawn 3, and he's only lost 4. But matches against Arteta, played 8, won 7, lost 1, which I think was that FA Cup game. So then we go and have a look at a little bit of the history. I just counted. I think it was 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. At the last 16 games, we've won 1 and lost 15. We'll move on from that. Let's look at historically. The first ever game between Man City and the Arsenal was Ardwick v Woolwich Arsenal. And it was in League Division 2 in the 30th of December, 1893. And
I was there. I've got a programme.
I was going to say we were there. There's only 4,000 people there. Yeah, we went there. We won 1-0. And James Henderson scored the goal, an inside forward Scottishman. That's lovely to know, isn't it? And then if we go and have a look at we go and have 3 games ago at home in the Premier League. Away in the Premier League at Man City. You go back and have a look 3 games back, and it was the 17th of June 2020. The before times. No, it was the dark times. They smashed us 3-1. Sterling, 45. De Bruyne, 51 penalty. Phil Foden, 90. We'll move on from that, pretend it didn't happen. 2 games ago, 17th of October, 2020. Again, the dark times. Only 1-0 then. They beat us. Raheem Sterling, 23rd minute. That's not too bad considering. And then the last time we played them, because it was the beginning of the 21-22 season, so it's August 2021, which is best part of, 19 months ago? And I completely forgotten because they beat us 5-0. I don't even want to talk about it. And I'm looking at the starting 11 and the 9 subs that we named. 20 players, 11 of them are no longer at the club, been sold, retired, or have been loaned out. That says a lot, doesn't it? Over half the players have gone. That game... Xhaka got sent off after 35 minutes when we were 2-0 down. And then Gabriel Jesus scored a goal. And Zinchenko came on for Kyle Walker at half-time. So So there you go. That's all I've really got there. So I can close that window and put it in the bin where it belongs. Because our record, Stan, is probably the worst record against any team I can think of in the history of our club. 1 win in 15 and 14 losses. What you got to say about that?
Well, it's about time that changed, isn't it?
It certainly is.
You know, it's about time that we started getting a W next to us against that team. But I haven't been able to stop thinking about this fixture. And I'm not thinking about anything in particular. It's just on my mind, and it's almost here now. And it seems like I've been waiting for this fixture for ages. You know, to come round. And in a way, it's kind of like, well, you want to play this team, don't you, at their place, because you want to see how far we've come. You want to see if you can sort of like gauge the improvement of this team over some of those last results that you've mentioned. But then football doesn't always work out like that, does it? Because, you know, in the last game that we played, you would have thought that, you know, that phrase, on paper, we should have got more than what we did out of that game. And you would say that about the game before as well.
6 points out of the last 3 games.
Exactly. So even though I want to look at this to see what, you know, is this a marker? Let me see how far we've come. You know, it's difficult to get a true representation because it's never as it should be on paper. And for me, you know, win, lose or draw, as long as I see, you know, our team coming off the pitch, having left everything on it, then they won't have any complaints from me, because if it turns out that we're just not good enough to beat Man City yet, then that's the case. And hopefully we can identify the places where we are weak so that the next time they come round again, we would have improved and try to get something more out of the game.
Is that realistically going to happen, though? That's the question, because we were on the wonderful Fran, Golazzo is her YouTube channel. It was you, me, and it was Fergus from Guns and Ribbons.
Yes.
And it was basically us 3 against the world, wasn't it? Because it was one idiot in the chat. First of all, he said he wanted to come on and roast us. I said to him he couldn't roast his own bloody nuts. And then he was saying that Arteta needs to be sacked right now. And before I left, I pointed out that the era of the angry Arsenal fan making a living on YouTube, nicking a living on YouTube, that's 10 years ago. You're late to the party with you've been down a car boot sale, you've picked yourself up a webcam and you picked up a microphone and got changed from a £5, you've got a hot dog included. And then you go on the old YouTube and you start banging out content at an alarming rate with having very little idea what the actual fuck you're talking about. That sums up most of these people. They got no idea what they're talking about and they just want to be angry. And they honestly were saying, weren't they? He's got to go. Manager's got to go. It's an absolute disgrace what's happened and it's unacceptable.
Yeah. And coming from, you know, a fan that isn't, you know, it wasn't a young fan. It wasn't a young lad that's only been supporting the team for a short while. This was a person that was also kept wanting everyone to know that they've been there, seen it, done it, wore the T-shirt and been supporting Arsenal, you know, for over 50 years or what have you.
Yeah, but between you, me and Fergus, we've been supporting the club for about 1 million years. We've been to a million games. None of us ever brought that up. But they were just, I don't know what they want. We have one hiccup. I mean, it's not even a hiccup. We've got 3 draws. It's not. We've still only lost 3 Premier League games this season. Man City have lost 4. And the really interesting stat that I liked is the fact that we have scored 77 Premier League goals this season with 6 games to go. Out of the last 18 Premier League seasons, only twice have we scored more than 77 goals. Only twice. And we've still got games to go. It's not even a glass half empty, glass half full nonsense, is it? It's just people wanting to have a bloody moan. And I'm sick of it. And where are they going to, if we manage to get anything out of tomorrow night's game, do you think they're going to change their tune?
They'll just wait for the next stumble. There's always, you know, there's always going to be a stumble. That's the life of football, right? There will be losses, there will be draws, but sometimes it feels like as soon as one of those happen, it doesn't even matter about the manner of the loss. It just seems to be a vindication to make changes with the management. But, you know, people are entitled to their opinions. I don't agree with all of them, you know, but, you know,
True.
You know, all because you keep saying the same thing, but saying it louder and louder and louder, shouting doesn't make you any more right than you were.
Doesn't make it any more legitimate if you scream it. Oh, it does worry me with these people. What do they want? We are playing the best football we have played, I would say, in 10, 15 years. Easily the best football we have played. It's beautiful to watch. The players are magnificent. That even the hope for the future that we have got. That should just make you get the tingling feeling in your nether regions, thinking of what these players can go on to achieve in the next 2, 3, 4 seasons. Some of them might have another 15 years at the club. I mean, you look at Ramsdale. Goalkeepers are still playing in the Premier League at 38. He could have another 15 season with us. And they go, oh no, but look what he did after 28 seconds. He made that. Yeah, but look at the number of times he saved us this season.
If he does play to his 38, I would put a father on that. He will probably save a penalty by then as well.
Probably 1 or 2, and he'll have the odd good game and try to make up for the. He's a young man. And
of course.
What would you put down to the last 3 games where we've had a bit of a shit run? Would you put it? Oh, Stan's there. I mean, not Stan, you're Stan. Fran is there. We're just talking about your channel, Fran, saying how lovely you are and how well she did to have. She was like in the middle, balancing it all out. You had us, 3 or 4 of us in the. It's all right. It's going to be all right, and the rest of the doom mongers, and she was in the middle, balancing it out perfectly. She did a great job, didn't she?
Yes.
If you want to go and find her channel, it's GoAlartzo. Golazzo! Yeah, so the run of games that we've been on where we've dropped 6 points in a row out of the last 3, what would you put that down to? Because we were hinting that maybe Partey has had a bit of a problem. And go on, what do you think?
Well, if you remember the last time that we spoke, I mentioned that, Thomas Partey just recently converting to religion and fasting could be affecting him. And when I was on the show on Sunday on the Arsenal Fan Circle, one of the founders of the channel, Mahia, popped by, and he is a Muslim, and I was asking him about that, and he says yes, you usually start fasting at around about the age of 8, 9, maybe 10 years old, and it's something that you do get used to. So someone like Thomas Partey, who's 30, and he said if this is one of his first fasts, it could seriously be affecting him, mentally and physically as his body's adjusting. And it does kind of coincide with the time frame of the bad performances of when he's been having to go without food or water. But I believe that period has passed now, so hopefully he's at home, replenishing and renourishing himself, and hopefully we should see better performances from him. But I do think that has maybe played a part in those recent performances because it does coincide with that time. But I do think that, just looking, for example, the Ramsdale mistake, it just looks to me that over the last few games, I'm seeing complacency a little bit. Like the Partey move where he tried to flick it over Declan Rice. That's sort of in the same category as Ramsdale trying to, squeeze that ball through, it's 2 of their defenders to get to our player, but he didn't put anything on it. And to me, that does look a little bit of complacency. And as I mentioned, I think it was when we spoke the last time, maybe they're in, maybe some of these players are in a place where they're beginning to, believe their own headlines a little bit.
Yeah,
which is a scary thing, right? You'd think that Mikel should be all over something like that to keep. This is what the manager should be doing now. He's earning his money now to keep these players' feet on the ground and to get them through to this last bit. This is probably the most difficult part of winning the title.
See, Wenger would never really admit that he messed up, but Arteta did a really good thing in a press conference after the Liverpool game, I think it was. No, it was after the West Ham one, and the interviewer said, "What are you going to do if you go 2-0 up after these previous games?" He says, "I'm going to score a third." That's brilliant! Excellent way to answer a problem with when things like that happen. It's interesting what you say about him converting and actually getting a Muslim to give an answer on what they thought the situation was, because as far as I've seen, I haven't heard any Muslims come talk about it, and so this bloke, he'll know better than anyone, won't he?
Yeah, because they have another period that they've used called Eid, and that was actually over that weekend. I think it finished on maybe Saturday or Friday. So he also said that in the UK there is an extra hour of the fasting because of the sun and so forth. So you have to imagine that during the hours of where Thomas Partey is on the pitch and playing, and you see all of those players running off to the side when they can to, grab water out of the bottle. He can't do that.
I'm just going to put a little link in the chat. There you go. This is the Franz show. Go and click on that and go and have a listen. Really interesting debate. Lots of, I think it went on for quite some time, didn't it? After I made my dramatic exit, I went and cooked dinner, so I didn't hear the end of it. But yeah, go and subscribe to Fran's channel and give it a listen. Some people are just saying it's time to turn it around, but we all know that. Stefan told me off for saying Stan and me rather than Stan and I. I thought, this isn't a musical, darling. Brady says, if we play on paper, sign that other Japanese sensation, Tommy Origami, that would be lovely. Fran says, I can only apologise. You guys did fantastically. No, you did fantastic. You were in the middle of it. You did a good job. Phil says he liked it. That's good. Rudy says, holding isn't the reason we draw 3 times. That was Partey and Zinchenko having brain farts. Is that right, Stan? I think it is.
Sorry, I missed that. I just got a message on my phone. What was that question? Sorry.
Rudy says it wasn't holding isn't the problem for the 3 draws. It's Partey and Zinchenko having a brain fart.
Yeah, they were culpable for some of the mistakes that we made.
Like Rudy says, spot on, Danny. We're 10 games unbeaten. But some people don't want to know that, Rudy. You know what it's like. They have no interest in facts. Franz says they want what's best for the club, but just have a different opinions on how it can be done. Well, I don't think if some people are going to try and make a living off of shouting and screaming and going, it's not good enough, then you don't want what's best for the club. We know a certain Mr. Gunner. If Arsenal went and won the 10 titles in a row and 10 Champions Leagues in a row, that's him done. That's his whole content gone, because his content is shouting and screaming that it isn't good enough when you're in a bit of a quicksand. There's your parcel, come.
No, not yet. They're on its way. So it'll be within 10 minutes or so.
Deke, who does the post-game shows with me and will be doing it with me this Wednesday, says, imagine saying we are unbeaten in 10, top of the league, and we still are still in and still we are in for a fight. Yes. Phil says the same bloke said I was wrong with Arsenal supporters because I was always positive. Well, not much you can do. Boy says just get to half-time with the score 0-0 and things will work out from there. What do you think is the best way to approach this game? Defensively, or go out all-out attack, or a bit of balance? Or do you go out there and see what they do and then make your decisions on what they've done?
Well, because we've allowed the cushion between us and them to diminish quite a lot now. There's only 5 points, and they've got 2 points, 2 games in hand. We have to treat this like a cup final. That means you have to win. There's not going to be a penalty shootout on extra time, so you have to go for a win within 90 minutes. They have to go all out. I don't see why they would want to play a defensive game at all. And to be fair, it's the defensive part of our game that's been letting us down. It's only because we've been able to come back from behind so many times this season and get the result. It's kind of papered over the cracks a little bit, but our defensive record is not where it should be. I mean, the clean sheets that we're not able to keep at home. We're doing better on the road than we are at our own stadium.
That is a weird thing. That's not really the way things work in football. You tend to be better at home than you are away, and that is what gives people the willies and helps you have that advantage.
What I don't understand about our defensive frailties is that if you go through all of our defenders, including the four fullbacks, Tomiyasu, White, Zinchenko, Tierney, and then you go through the centre backs and the goalkeeper, individually, from what I can gather, we all seem to like those players. Everybody has good words to say about them. However, there seems to be something wrong though, because although we've been able to win games, if you look how many times we've had to come back from behind, and some of the goals that have been scored against us very quickly and very early when the game begins. I mean, I don't know what that is. Is that something to do with the style that we play? Are we letting people in because we use inverted fullbacks and we're leaving gaps? I mean, as I say, you can go along all of our defensive players and goalkeeper, and we all seem to like them. So what is the problem?
I don't think we've seen that no matter. I mean, Man City went to Spurs and lost 1-0 in the Premier League, and didn't they lose to Southampton in the cup or something? Maybe was it the League Cup? It must have been the League Cups and other cups that they were in. Man City have had some bad results this season. They've got a bloke who is probably going to score 60 goals this season, and they're 4 points behind a team that are only on page 1 of their book of regenerating the team, the squad, and the attitude and everything with a young manager. I mean, look, Pep's been manager for 15 seasons, and of those 15 seasons, I think he's won 12 league titles. What's Arteta done? Arteta's barely out of nappies when it comes to management, and yet, and some of our kids have only been. Most Premier League teams would kill to have a pick of any one of our young players that we've got because they're so good. But I think it's you. No matter how good the team are historically, apart from the Invincibles, every team that has won the league has lost games during that season. Even we did it in '89, we did it in 2002, we did it in 2098. 2098, that'd be nice.
I mean, I agree, but the way that we're losing goals and we're the ones that are going behind and having to come back, we're making the job really difficult for ourselves. And we've been quite lucky for the majority of the season that we've been able to find the answer. But as we've now seen in the last couple of games, that luck has run out because we've gone behind and we've only managed to be able to peg it back to a draw, and we're leaving another 2 points on the table. So, and I think that it's definitely something that needs to be looked at, that we cannot afford to be coming back from behind all of the time, because there's no guarantees that you'll make it. Do you know what I mean? It should be the other way around. We should be putting games to bed. We should be putting teams to the sword. You know, I wouldn't mind a run of games where we just win 1-0 if it means we get a clean sheet and we're in control of the game and we win the game and get all 3 points. You know, instead of going 2 goals behind and having to score 3 now to get 3 points. Because 2's not enough. That just gives you the draw, right? That has to be addressed for me. It's not. I don't think it's sustainable.
It's not, as we've seen. I saw this on Twitter today. For people at home and on the bus and on the toilet and taking the dog for a walk, our best 11: Ramsdale in goal, White at right back, Saliba, Gabriel, Zinchenko left back, Odegaard, Partey, Xhaka in midfield, Saka, Jesus, and Martinelli up front. How many times do you think that 11 has started Premier League games this season?
Well, Zinchenko had that spell where he was out for a while, right? We've had a spell of Gabriel Jesus being out for a while. Now Saliba's out. But tell me, how many times has that particular 11 played together?
6 started. Wow. They've started 6, but then someone else pointed out that the Invincible team that we can all name, that team only. Actually, I'm going to have to go and look at my. I'll put it in the thing.
Would you say that's our best 11? Is that what would you call that our best 11? Because I wouldn't.
Yes, I would. Yeah. Well, who would you change?
I prefer Kieran Tierney at left back.
That was yeah, because he is. We've seen Zinchenko's defensive abilities at times have been lacking. If we're attacking and having a great flow and running the game, you don't notice it. But when teams are attacking, that he has got a mistake in him. Because as we know for Ukraine, he's a defensive midfielder, holding midfielder. He's not a left back.
I just want my defenders to defend first. Anything else they can do after that for me is a bonus. But they must be able to defend first. So, Danny, are you going to hold the fort for just a couple of minutes while I run downstairs and sign for my parcel?
You go and do that, and I'll have a little chit chat with the punters. Okay. Had a nice one here. Mr. Waffles said, "I'm going to start shouting and screaming about the lack of enthusiasm for St. Totteringham's Day." Happy St. Totteringham's Day, everybody. Hope you like it. Tulby Fool says, so many of our fans were saying, quote, "I don't need Arsenal to win anything. I just want to see them challenge," end quotes. Well, guess what? Now we are, but the same fans are crying for something new. They certainly are. Boy 10 says, just give us the league. I don't know why I said a luge. He said luge. He said luge. That would have been dodgy. Fran says, oh, thank you. I love hearing every spectrum of an opinion. Good. So, people go and watch Fran's video. Shane says, we need to get veterans who wanted to win the league now so levels wouldn't drop. Henry and Patrick Vieira should have been in the tunnel at half time. But would Arteta see that as him being undermined? Phil says the whole spectrum and at the same time asking for trouble. Parcel from McDonald's. No, he's got a delivery coming. I don't think it's McDonald's. That wouldn't be very good. Rudy says we need to go out and attack them. I was asking this question earlier, like we did against Liverpool first half. Leave the brain farts out. Parking the bus is not our game. Very good. I agree with you there, Rudy. We are the best part of our game is our attacking ability. Go out there, rough them up, score goals. And if you're gonna go out, you might as well go out in a blaze of glory. Francis, I think we should go in somewhat conservatively and get a feel of the game. That's the other question I was asking. Maybe see what they do, like a chess game. Parking the bus, says Fran, isn't our game, but let's just steady the ship and attack from a strong foundation. Wise words, Fran. BX says, release the hounds. Let Saka and Martinelli attack at will. Phil says, Spurs sacked another manager today, so that's funny. I was looking at a football journalist on Twitter, and he says the two teams he covers for his paper is Chelsea and Spurs. And he said between them, they have just got rid of their 7th manager of the season. And how far back if you go Arsenal? Well, you've got Arteta, Lundberg, Unai Emery, Wenger. Bloody hell, before Wenger, it would have been a caretaker manager of... I can't remember his name. Scottish bloke. Went on to QPR. Anyway, him. And then it was George Graham. And then before George Graham, it was another caretaker manager. And then it was Don Howe. And then that's going back to the mid-80s. We've had eight. And those two between them have had 7 in the season. Well, I can't remember his name. I'm sure someone will put it in there. Because he was assistant manager to Bruce Rioch. I forgot Bruce Rioch. Easily done. Make that 9. Assistant manager to Bruce Rioch at Arsenal. Then he went and took over at QPR, and Bruce Rioch went and was his assistant manager there. Didn't really work out. Brady's Banana says, midfield has to be so on it this Wednesday. Any word on Xhaka? I think they said Xhaka is back. So they were talking about that he was back. Maybe he's just had the poops or something. I don't know. BX and Tottenham's Day weekend has been extended by a day. Lovely. Phil says, Fran, have you watched Fever Pitch? How dare you, Phil? Of course she has. BX says, Phil, I thought it was Mr. Burns from The Simpsons. Smithers. Arsenio has stopped putting stuff in capital letters. Thank you very much, sir. Nothing less than a win against City will suffice. I'm fed up of us bodging up either top 4 or a cup game or thereabouts in the title challenge and dropping off this season. I want the title, end of. Hold on. Bit nasally there. That sounds like I've got a blocked up nose. Oh, Fran hasn't seen Fever Pitch. Don't ever admit that, Fran. It's really, really good. It's a bit dated and some bits are a bit boring, mainly the bits at school. But, it's exactly how it was when you go and watch it, exactly how my life was back then. Phil says, are we not still obsessed with scoring the perfect goal, been the same since Wenger walked in the door? Was it a McDonald's delivery, Stan? That's what
no, it was
Phil
not.
wanted to know.
It was not.
Boy 10 says he prefers Saka at left back. I think Boy 10 has been on the bath salts. Avon, you're there. Avon Not Teddington says, Trossard might be in instead of Jesus on current form. What do you think to that? Hasn't Jesus scored 3 in 3?
I think he scored 3 or 4 now, isn't it? Is it 4 or 3? Can't remember.
I'm going to go and have a look and pretend that I knew all along.
Other than the before I disappeared, other than the Kieran Tierney change, for me, I'm loath to tinker around and change too much to what's got us to where we are at the moment.
Yeah,
it seems to be a winning formula, so I don't want to change too much. I know people are talking about things like different players that can go into Xhaka's role, but I think we saw in the last match that we really missed him.
I'm looking at his stats against Southampton. He got a 7.2 against West Ham, a goal 7.5 against Liverpool, a goal a 7.6 against Leeds, 2 goals, man of the match, and an 8.9. That's not somebody I want to be dropping, Stan.
Yeah, as I say, well, what I like about Trossard is that because he can play in a variety of positions, 3 or 4 positions.
Yeah,
I like to have him coming off of the bench, because if somebody in one of those positions doesn't look like they're having the best day, we know that he can come in. And not only does he come in, he actually, he produces something in his performances. You're likely to get a goal or an assist from him. He doesn't just come in as a warm body. And I understand that people are trying to find ways to fit him in the team, but sometimes I think that you don't have to play all of your cards in the first hand. You saw how ESR was so effective for us in the previous season. He would come off the bench and he would help us change games, and he would provide goals and assists. And I think it's good to have someone that can do that off of the bench. And it seems that that person is no longer ESR, because he seems to have fallen way down the pecking order. I mean, he's below Teabag now, isn't he?
Is that catching on, the old Teabag?
It is over my way.
That's good to hear. Someone's made a point here about who was it? It was, I left it on there, Arsenio Wonga. I'm sorry to say this, but Ramsdale isn't a great like Seaman and Lehmann. Those two were unbelievable goalkeepers, and I never had any fear of going into games, unlike Ramsdale, who I don't like. All right, Mr. Arsenio Wonga, I've got to stick this in your pipe. Aaron Ramsdale was currently 24 years old. David Seaman, at the age of 24, he just got relegated from the Premier League with Birmingham City. I mean, it was the first division, but it was the same thing. And then he left Birmingham City because they got relegated, and then he went off to QPR. What do you say about them onions? How about that, Stan? That's a fact, isn't it? That's quick Wikipedia-ing. I made it a verb.
The hope and the prayer is that we've got a goalkeeper that's going to grow into the stature of a Lehmann or a Seaman. That's the hope, But there's no guarantees, right?
It is. There's no guarantees in life or football. I'm going to go and have a quick look and see where Jens Lehmann was. Lens. No, it's not. It's not Lens. It's Jens. Jens the Madman Lehmann. She had 24 years on to that. So that would have been 1983. In 1983, that can't be right. No. 70.
He was working as a cobbler with repairing shoes.
1993. He was still with the team I can't pronounce in Germany. Schalke. It's not Schalke. So 1993. 1993, they were back in the Bundesliga after 2 seasons before that, got relegated. So he'd suffered relegation as well. Oh, no, he didn't. He would come in when they had been relegated. Yeah, so he was with them, and that season he only played 8 games, even though the season before he played 37. So I think everything's relative. You can't judge. You can't say Ramsdale, Seaman and Lehmann in the same breath when one of them is barely out of nappies when it comes to being a goalkeeper. Boy 10 says, let Ramsdale develop. He's a baby in keeper years. Just copying what I said. Stan's got Just Eat order. Oh, he's more professional than that. That's why we were nearly late. I had a chili bite order, and I've only eaten some of it. What did you get? Are you going to tell us what you got?
No, because I know that you don't like smoking.
I know if it's I don't well.
All right, basically I've got a big bag of cannabis delivered, which is my cannabis for the month, as it's legal
no, that's
here.
Fine.
It's
that's
perfectly
fine.
legal here. I have it delivered once a month, and today was delivery day.
No, I don't do it, but I think it should be legal. That's a whole nother pod. That if it was, I'd be off my tits on edibles. But yeah, get some edibles and post them to me, everybody. Don't say who you are. Just get them and post them to me. And then if the popo get involved, I'll deny all knowledge of it. But I will just be giggling a lot. Arsenio Wonga says this squad couldn't touch the Invincibles' panache, skill, class, and mentality. That's the difference in winning the league and bottling it. Facts. Well, let's have a little look at the. I've got my wonderful Google spreadsheet, and let's have a look at the Invincible season. How they did. We know they're unbeaten. Well, the Invincible season, Stan. Guess how many goals we scored? I wouldn't know, so I'm not trying to trick you. How many goals do you reckon we scored in the Invincible season in the Premier League, a 38-game season?
Ooh, let's have a guess. How many goals we scored so far this already?
77.
Okay, I would say that it will probably be less than that.
You are correct.
Because I think even though I don't think we had as many high-scoring games perhaps back then as maybe we've seen now. What was the number?
73. My mouse is about to die, so I've got to plug in a portable charger. 73. And I would argue some of the football we played that season, I'm going to say it, Stan. I'm going to go out and say it. Out of our 3 title-winning seasons under Wenger, 04 was the worst, the least entertaining. For me, the most entertaining was 98. The better team was probably 2002. Do you agree? Or am I talking hogwash? Because I do tend to talk
agree
a lot
with some of that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And that season, we conceded 26 goals, and this season we've only conceded 34. I'm going to say 34. I might not have updated that. I'm going to have a look at the Premier League table to see if I was right or not. Premier League table, Arsenal goals conceded, 34. And considering 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of those were in the last 3 games, I'm going to go and have a look at the comments, Stan, while you say wise words.
Yeah, I agree with you that I think 2002 was the better team.
Boy10 says Saka would get into the Invincibles by now. He's so far ahead of Ljungberg at the time. See, people forget that Perez was right-footed, but he played on the left. He did a Saka, but at the other side. And so for France and other teams, he could play on the right. So you could easily move him to the left or right and then drop Ljungberg and to get Saka in, either one of them. But Perez was absolutely immense. Another wonderful decision by Wenger to let him go, because he had that thing of if you're 30, you only get a 1-year extension, which is why Gilberto left and why Perez left. And it was absolutely shocking. Do you guys see us keeping a clean sheet?
No. No.
Pat Rice was. I was going through the people that said that between Chelsea and Spurs this season they got through 7 managers, and I couldn't remember the one who was a caretaker manager. It wasn't Pat Rice. Stuart Houston. There you go, Mark. It was Stuart Houston. I forgot Rioch, but then before I read this, yeah. Bruce Rioch, horrible times under that. Is Xhaka back? Do we know anything about that? We were talking about that, Stan.
I don't even know why he was out, to be honest.
I think he had the shits.
He should be back then, right? It's usually a 24-hour thing then, isn't it?
Oh, Archangel is there. There's a long-time viewer. I haven't seen you for a while. But again, we haven't been doing shows for a while, but I'm back doing them now. Although I did get some shocking news in the NHS today.
Oh.
Absolute fucks. Mr. Waffle said, Phil, with the same old Arsenal argument. Before he says, Danny slandering me for my perfect left-back take. Saka is our best left-back. Prove me wrong. Stan?
If you're saying, okay, then you're saying that he's our best left-back and he's better than Kieran, Tierney and Zinchenko. But then there is an argument to say that even though he may be our best left-back, he's still better playing further forward. Does that make sense? Or because he's our best left-back, doesn't mean that he should play left-back, because you can get more out of him in a higher position, as in goals or assists. That's what the name of the game is, isn't it?
I suppose looking at that, if Saka will be still at the club at the age of 34 and he's gone full Theo Walcott and there's no more pace, would we be then playing him at left back?
Well, maybe you never know. He may have that feather in his cap later on in his years.
Well, we know that all the great players, Lothar Matthäus, attacking midfielder, sweeper. Same with Ruud Gullit, attacker, midfielder, and then he ended up playing sweeper. All these players, all the great players like that, can always, as they get older, they drop further back, play deeper, and are magnificent.
Arteta did, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, well, that's mainly forced because Wenger was.
But when he was playing in Scotland, he played more. He was more further forward than when he was playing in Spain, and then he gradually started to go a bit deeper, didn't he?
Yeah, sacrificed his career for the Arsenal. Avon says yes, but Trossard has been and the assist king, and Jesus has missed a shed load of chances, including 2 sitters against Southampton, which is very, very true.
It's a good argument.
There we go. I'm just saving your questions. I've got one there from Archangel. Rudy says, have to say that Tomiyasu injury is hurting us massively. Oh, that is very true, because he is our backup, right back, left back, centre back, isn't he? But
I'm not sure about Tomiyasu, because the last few times that I've seen him play, even though they've been short appearances, he just hasn't looked the player that originally came. If that makes any sense. Sometimes you get that with a player where they arrive and they're happy to be there, and you get some good performances out of them, and then it kind of plateaus a little bit.
Yeah,
you know, they find their kind of groove and their place. And I've not been impressed with the last few performances I've seen. He seems to be giving the ball away in important places on the pitch. And some people say, you know, oh, that's because he's not getting a run of games. But sometimes you have to be ready to go, right? You know, you don't know when the games are going to come, and you have to be ready to take your opportunities when they come along.
That's wise words. They're all having a chat about weed and stuff. Brady's Banana says, I always wondered why Stan was so mellow.
It's the only reason I moved to Canada as well.
Well, yes. They just talked about the Invincibles. Noza says, just remember, it doesn't matter how bad we have been recently, one can always look that lot up the road and laugh at them. Yeah, historically, if you're watching this in a few years' time, today is the day that Spurs have sacked their caretaker manager after getting smashed 6-1 away at Newcastle, which is hilarious. The disagreement Noza there. Oh, Melvin is there.
5-0 down after 20 minutes.
I know, and it was only
that's FIFA style. That is.
It was 2 months ago. Was it 2 months ago? March. No, it was a month, just over a month ago, maybe 5 weeks ago. They were 1-0 down after the first leg against AC Milan. It was the home leg now, and they were giving it big on the Twitter. And we're going to do it. We're going to be into the Champions League semi-finals. Little did they know, 6 weeks later, humiliating. What an absolute joke of a club. I've seen one goal to the Jamaican Arsenal shirt because I couldn't get it for months. Finally been able to get it a little bit later because Stan has family that are from Jamaica, haven't you, dear?
Yep, my mum's side.
Oh, there you go. They're all saying hello to Melvin. Hi,
Melvin.
Yeah, Melvin is a friend of ours. BX says Nelson and Saka on the right. Okay. I'm not sure what that's about because I forget what I said 2 minutes ago. Mark says same can be said for Ben White. He's better than Holding at centre back, but he's also our best right back. Very, very true indeed. Greyed out man. Theo looked pretty quick on Friday. Yeah, he did, but only compared to the old Theo Walcott. Yeah, it wasn't. But his son isn't going to be happy because his son is an Arsenal fan. There you go. Notice that Philip Lahm was another one who played fullback and defensive midfield. I think that's one of the reasons he retired because Germany or Bayern said, no, we want you to play at fullback. We don't want you to play in midfield. Glorious player. People are still saying hello. They talk about that. Here we go. Avon says, am I the only one who thinks Tommy might be in the mix to be sold this summer? He does seem to be made of glass, which is strange. Yet another player who his entire history of playing football has never and very rarely gets injured. But then he comes to Arsenal and he's gone full Santi Cazorla, hasn't he?
Yeah, could we actually make players start using muscles in their legs that they didn't know they had?
Oh, Tommy Ashew is 24 years old, and before he joined Arsenal, he played 33 games one season, then 30 the season before, then 40 the season before that, 38 the season before that, and before that he was a kid. So, but then again, last season he played 22. We got 31 out of him this season, but it has hindered us.
Out of him this season?
31.
31 appearances?
Yeah.
Tommy Ashew?
Yeah.
What, this season?
Yeah.
Doesn't feel like it.
It certainly doesn't. It feels like 10, 12.
Yeah. Wow.
I'm going to go and have a look now. I'm going to go and have a look at our Japanese wonder. Click on here, and then you go stats, current season.
Doesn't feel like it at all.
And then you do a detailed, and I'll tell you how many games he started. He's came on 9 times. He's come off 18 times. So that's 27. And so that's 27. So there's 4 games he's played without coming on or off, and 27 games where he's either come on or come off. So come on as a sub 18 times. Wow. Is that on? Is red on? Yeah, so he's come on as a sub 18 times and he's been subbed off 9 times.
Okay.
But if I do this, Echo, 1,223 divided by 90.
1,223 divided by 90 is approximately
He's averaged,
13.589.
of his 31 games, he's averaged 13.5 minutes a game. I think that explains. There you go. That's done maths live on the air. That explains why. An average of 13 minutes a game. That's why, Stan, because he's. I think he's just come on to shore stuff up, much like
at the crowd.
Aldinho.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. That's going to make sure. They've changed it. In the old days, it used to be 10 Premier League games to get a title, get an automatic medal when you won the league. And then I think they've now changed that to 5, plus they give out another 20 that they can give to kit men and other things like that. Right. But Premier League appearances, how many is who's not going to make it? Well, Marquinhos won't. Manuari won't. Suarez has got 2. Kiwior's got 2. Nelson's got 6. He'll get 1. Smith Rowe 9. Mohamed only 5. Oh, he's just about made it before the season's out. Even Lukonga will get a medal, but we're not going to do it. Fabio Vieira has come. Looking at the number of times people have come on as a sub, Vieira 17, only in the league. Vieira 17, Tierney 17, Tomiyasu 15, and Nketiah 16. Wow. I mean, I suppose that's what you get when you're allowed 5 subs now, isn't it? Even though he doesn't use all 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting stuff. Right, let's go. I knew we'd end up waffling, so we could do it in half hour, I said. No, we're having a good old waffle. Archangel says, remember when Lehmann went to take a goal kick and duck behind the holding to have a wee-wee? Yeah, he got booked for that, didn't he? Do you remember that? It was in Germany.
No, I don't.
He ran off and had a whittle. Avon has said, we should start one of those House of Commons petitions to get Ryan Mason the Tottenham job permanently instead of at the end of every other season. It was Corporal Tim. Get Corporal Tim back. I don't think Tim Sherwood's up to much at the moment. Russ Morgan is there. Hello, Russ. How you been? Stan always tries to be. He don't try. He's a nice guy. One of my favourite people to podcast with.
That's a little in-joke comment there for my wrestling podcast.
Are you pretending to be a face when you're really a heel?
It's a Owen Hart reference thing.
I can't believe they carried on that, even though he died. I mean, Vince McMahon is mercilessly. Did you see Ric Flair was on with Joe Rogan?
No.
Woo! 3 hours. Considering he nearly died, and he's 74. It's a bloody good show, and they've also got one of Joe's mates on there who loves wrestling, and the Beastmaster, that character that when it come through the wall, it tripped over. It was
the Shockmaster.
Shockmaster, that's it. He was
with
saying
what do you call it? The Stormtrooper helmet with glitter on it.
That's it. And then he was explaining how that happened, and he said the reason he fell over is because they all knew it was such a shit gimmick that they put a plank of wood at the bottom of the wall, so when he come through the wall, broke through the plasterboard wall, that he tripped over it and fell over, and then his helmet came off, and then the person who was meant to be doing his voice, because they couldn't get a mic in it, was cracking up, and it was just a disaster. But
I think it was Arn Anderson who was doing the voice.
They didn't say who it was.
You know that wrestler called Tugboat. Do you remember Tugboat?
Yeah,
that was him dressed up as the Shockmaster.
Yeah,
that's the same guy.
Well, maybe I thought it. Yeah, he was Typhoon, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It's the same guy, the Shockmaster. Fred something.
Good. Brady's Banana says, whatever happens this season, Arteta is still manager in training. Do not let him go. He will become great. Toxic fans can do one. Very well said, Mr. Banana. Arsenio, I swear Lehmann was, if Wenger was, a goalkeeper. Okay. Sometimes I'm reading these out of context. I do believe it, says Mr. Waffles. Does that include an under-23? No, I took the one under-23 game. He's played 4. That's why I was adding it up. Played 46 minutes in one Premier League 2 game. Many bench appearances for Tomiyasu. Oh, God, there's so many. I'm losing. I'm going to scroll down a little bit. I'm going to miss out some comments. Loki said, hello, Loki. How you doing? Education ABW. Has Gav rang you yet? Tomorrow's podcast is going to be me, Ellis, Gav, and Dave Seeger. 8:30. Don't be late. Phil says Kane won't ever be getting a medal ever. P didn't a bottle, didn't he? Yes, he did.
Only medal he gets for long service.
Yeah. Arsenio once says, "Stand the man, oi, bruv. I love the WWF. A lot of people though kick me down saying, oh, but it's fake. Yeah, you get a couple of moves in the ring from that. From if they say it's fake going there, they'll kill them within seconds. You wouldn't be able to cope with the way they get thrown around." And I reply, "Oh, so you probably believe Hulk Hogan and Superman are real then?" It is indeed.
Anyone that ever says to me that wrestling is fake, I just tell them to watch the Undertaker versus Mankind cage match from King of the Ring 1998. Just watch that one match, then come back and have a chat with me.
Is that where Undertaker threw Mankind off the top of a cage, about 50 foot down onto a table?
and then he got off the stretcher and they climbed back up and started fighting again. And then the roof came through and he
the door.
He choke slammed him and he fell through the top of the ring.
And that wasn't even planned, was it?
No. He had one of his teeth coming out of his nostril.
Yeah, he does.
And then you think, okay, that's got to be it now. Then he came back again to continue fighting, and he brought a big bag back of thumbtacks, emptied them in the ring, and started getting body slammed into the thumbtacks.
But you see those thumbtacks up close. They're not like the ones we'd use because they're made of aluminium.
No, they're real thumbtacks, and they had to sanitize them. I know the whole story of that.
I mean, sometimes when they used them, they were just aluminium pressed ones, and when you put your finger down it, and then the metal, the sticky bit would collapse under your finger, which is why you see them stuck all over people's backs. Maybe that was in the TLC days. But back then, he did all that Japanese stuff, didn't he, in ECW? So he's mad. I'm going to read out some of your questions. So while me and Stan are going through these, if you could put your prediction in the chat, and then we can prediction shame you on Wednesday to see whether you got it right or wrong. Right, first question from Deke. Should we start Trossard as he is in form, and do we start Gabriel Jesus, who knows City and will want to beat them for personal reasons? Oh, good question.
For me, I'll stick with the answer that I said earlier on about, sometimes not having to play all of your cards, all of your aces in the first hand. And I think it's important that this game may change, during the course of the game. And someone like Trossard can come on at an important moment if somebody else is going off their game or we need some fresh legs. And there's a good chance that when he does come on, he'll provide something. So I would like to I like having a player that can be useful off the bench. And at the moment,
down. Come on.
I think Trossard fits that. So
no. Can't have a cat. I've got food on here. My cat that's dying is a pain in the ass. You can say, I've already given you chicken, you moron. I'll put expensive cat biscuits, and she would rather starve than eat cat biscuits. Stupid cat. Yeah, I agree with your answer there while I was shouting at the cat. Tom Andrews says, question for later. Should we try a Partey, Jorginho, Xhaka midfield trio? It will not be a physical game, and we can compress the midfield. Do you think
where's Odegaard?
Physical?
Huh? Where's Odegaard in there? Where's Odegaard? Is he being dropped? Is he being left out? Because I don't think that he's a player that can be left out of games. He's one of our best, our more creative players. For me, Odegaard, if he's fit and able, he always has to play for me. Odegaard.
Maybe he's thinking just push Odegaard further forward and then maybe drop Jesus or something like that. I just think go with the best formation we can go with and just do what we've done all season. When Arteta tries to fiddle around with stuff,
the lineup that I think we will see is the lineup that you put up earlier. That's irrespective of what I would like to change, I think the lineup that we will see is that one that you put up. That's what I think he'll put out.
Yeah.
If all of those players are fit, if they obviously not Saliba, that will probably be holding. But of all of those, the other 10, if they're all fit, I think that's what he will play with holding in for Saliba.
I agree with that. Right, we were on questions. So, Canterbury Gooner, that's a name I've not heard before. Hello.
Really?
If you're new, say hello. Well, why do you think the older Arsenal fans, 50 plus, seem to be always calm seem to always claim that they know only what's the best for the club. Well, it's like in life, isn't it? My daughter, Sian, she's 24, and she's now looking back at stuff, and she was 18, 19, 20 when I told her this, that, and she went, no, rubbish. And now she looks back and goes, yeah, you were right. Don't speed. Don't. You'll get points and a fine.
I suppose older fans that have been supporting the club longer have seen the club go through title runs before. Whereas I would imagine that today, we probably have a huge amount of Arsenal fans that have been following Arsenal over the last 19 years, and they've never seen us in the title race.
Yeah.
So
Apart
for them,
15,
I can understand
16.
that they may be feeling nervy, have a different way of looking at it because this is their first one. Although, I don't agree with, all because you're older, it means that you know it all. All because you go to games every single week means that you know it all or you're better. I mean, everybody can have their opinions. For me, it's all about how you deliver your opinions. You can have an open debate and discuss and critique players, but it's always it's about how you do it, And
Yeah,
maybe sometimes with some of the older fans can come across a little bit like they know it all and can be a little bit arrogant. I mean, I'm over 50. I don't know. Maybe I come across like that sometimes. I hope not. I try not to.
Yeah, but in the same vein, you could say that people that are younger, why do they think they know better? It's like if everything in life, the older you are, the more experience you have, the better view you're going to have on stuff. And then when in 20 years' time, when we're in when Jack Wilshere is Arsenal manager and we're going up against Newcastle for the title, and then these people will go, well, I remember the Arteta days. You young fans, you know nothing. You haven't seen anything. And it's just like that. But you do. The older you get, the more you have, the more knowledge you have, and the more experience you have. But then again, like I always say, Stan, if you, me, or everybody in the chat knew the slightest thing about football, I wouldn't be talking to you now. I'd be manager of Real Madrid. No, I wouldn't manage them. I'd be manager of Inter Milan, living in Milan, living life up, living outside nice and warm at 10 o'clock at night, eating pizza. That's where I'd be. I know nothing about football. I just know how to do a StreamYard stream. That's it. That's what you need to do. But good point there, Canterbury. That's a fair point. Phil says, Stan, have you done a pod in a yellow Arsenal shirt and Spider-Man gear? That would be funny.
I don't have a Spider-Man outfit, unfortunately. So, no.
Well, you're skinny. You'd fit in it. Lovely.
It could be on the cards one day. You know me. I love a little dress up me. So
what you should do is put your camera and mic upside down, and then have get rid of all your carpet and have a white floor, and then just do it like pretending that you're hanging from the ceiling, but really be on the. That's it. Do the entire show as Spider-Man like that. Archangel says, was Arteta on drugs to start Fabio ahead of Trossard or even Jorginho? Have you got an explanation for that, Stan? Because I'm lost.
Well, it's funny, right? Because I've always wondered what the Arsenal team, this current Arsenal team, would look like without Xhaka, and without Xhaka, who it is that goes in there. And it seems that for this season anyway, that you may have noticed that more and more in games, Xhaka is being taken out of a game. He's not seeing the game through for 90 minutes. He's not seeing the whole 90 minutes out. He's being withdrawn. And the player that he's putting in there, it's constantly teabag. He's not changing it around like he's looking or testing. We're not seeing ESR go in there. We're not seeing Trossard go in there. We're not seeing him take off Xhaka and, for example, moving Thomas Partey into that position and then bringing Jorginho on, which is something that could be considered as well. Because I've always felt that on the left side, it's more of a box-to-box motion anyway. Xhaka tends to be a little bit more box-to-box. And so if you could replace him with a Thomas Partey, who could also drop deep and help out a Jorginho. But we've not seen that either. So for me, he's definitely looking at Fabio Vieira. I think he's been testing him out to see if he is the one that can go in there. And I know why we bought him. Now we bought him because he had the highest amount of assists in the Portuguese league when we bought him. Yeah. And I can't remember what the number was, but it was an impressive number. But I'm not done with Fabio Vieira yet. I'm not writing him off just yet myself personally, because I can remember when we had Martin Odegaard on loan and he went back to Real Madrid, there were some fans that didn't want him back. They were saying, yeah, okay, we've seen that guy. Why don't we go and get Buendia instead? Or why don't we spend double the money that Martin Odegaard is going to cost us and bring in James Maddison? But look how it's worked out. For me, Odegaard is for his position, he's probably one of the best in Europe at the moment. Definitely in the league. His stats are comparable at the moment with a Kevin De Bruyne. And in some areas, he even surpasses Kevin De Bruyne. I think we're very lucky to have him. So I'm not giving up on Teabag just yet. I'd like him to get a pre-season under his belt because he didn't really have one with us, and just see whether it's a case of it's going to take him a little bit longer to adjust. Because if he is able to bring in a lot of assists, wow, man, that would really help us out.
Last season with FC Porto, he played 27 Liga games, 14 assists and 6 goals. And for the Portugal under-21, 14 goals in 25 games. That's not too bad.
For those that don't know who Teabag is, that's what we call him over on the Arsenal fan circle. That's what we call Fabio Vieira. And the reason why I've christened him Teabag is if you've ever watched the TV show Prison Break, he looks like Theodore Bagwell, aka Teabag. He was on the escape team.
They're all going on about how old they are and things like that. Oh, Hatayumi is there. Teabag knows what to do with the ball in the final third, anywhere else on the pitch, and he's not ready. But he's only 22, plenty of time.
We paid good money for him as well, right? That was 32 million, 35 million. So that's a good chunk of change. That's not experiment money. That's not like we've dropped 12 million on someone. If it doesn't work out, we can sweep it under the carpet. So I think I'd like to see him being given a little bit more of a chance.
I see. It's 46. It's weird knowing how old people are. Phil says he's 54. I thought he was in his 40s or late 30s.
I'm 54.
Yeah, I'm 53 this year. Right. I still only got 3 predictions, you lazy scumbags. I should get rid of that question. Got a question from Avon. Would you recommend on Wednesday drinking heavily and avoiding social media, or actually watching the game? Well, I'll be watching the game.
Well, I'm going to go to the pub to watch this one because I really enjoyed the last game. I've not been able to get to the pub much this season because of my bad back, but I felt better last week and I really enjoyed the atmosphere. And I think I'm going to go back for a little bit more of the pub atmosphere. So yes, watch the game. Watch the game, because if you miss it and it turns out that we have a really good one, you'll be kicking yourself.
Mark says he's 54 and Archangel says he was 60 yesterday. See, I always automatically think people are really young.
Happy belated birthday to you, by the way, Archangel. I hope you had a great one yesterday.
Well, it's the internet, so you never sure of people. We want proof. We want no, I don't want any of that. Watch the game, says Boy 10. The Arsenal needs your eyes on what happens. Mr. Waffles says, I'll be working with the game on my second screen. Lovely. Brady wants to watch the game with you. People saying happy birthday to Archangel.
I know why. They only want to watch the game with me because I've now just had my delivery. I know what they're up to.
Right.
I'm fully stopped at the moment.
Russ Morgan says, do you think ESR will be with us next season? And also Melvin Marks wanted to know, what do we think about the ESR situation?
Well, okay, this is a good one because this is a player that was quite an integral part of our team last season, got into double figures of his goals. And, as I said a moment earlier, I really like having a player that can come off the bench and be useful. And he was doing that. But the curious thing is quite recently when Mikel Arteta was asked about ESR, and I'm paraphrasing a little bit, he said something like, it's not about what you did last year, it's about what you're doing today. So how do you read into that? Does that mean that he, in training during the week, he's not been impressed with what he's seen from ESR when it comes to the training side of it? Therefore, he's not picking him on match days? Because some managers have that. Some managers believe that you train to play. You train in the week to earn the right to play. But some managers don't. For example, Patrick Vieira, there was, lots of stories that he was a terrible trainer during the week. Some players are like that. They don't train very well, but comes on a Saturday, they've got so much talent that they're always, you know, a minimum of a 7 for you on match days. So it sounds to me that in Mikel Arteta's eyes, that ESR, I think, has fallen way down the pecking order. You know, look, Teabag starts ahead of him. Teabag will come on ahead of him. And if Teabag's playing, Reece Nelson will leapfrog ESR and come on. And ESR still sat on the bench. Now, do you think that there is a case that in Mikel Arteta's eyes, there are a few players that, since Mikel Arteta has been the manager, Arsenal have now outgrown them? So do you think that he feels that we've outgrown Rob Holding, Kieran Tierney, and maybe Emil Smith-Rowe? What I mean by that is that there was a time when they were good for where we are and what we're doing, but maybe in Mikel Arteta's eyes, we've moved on a little bit. Maybe in the way that we play doesn't fit some of those players. Maybe he doesn't think that their level is now good enough for where he thinks we are, and he might feel that Arsenal's outgrown those players. Because it's very curious about ESR, because I was really happy with him personally as a fan and what I was seeing. But Martinelli, when he had that injury and he was out for a while, it took him a long time to come back into the team. And a lot of people were going, Arteta doesn't like him. Look, he won't use him. He doesn't like him. Maybe Arteta is the sort of coach. And again, these are all just opinions and speculations. Maybe he's a sort of coach that when you're out for a long-term injury and you're sort of like maybe in the first team, and someone else now comes in to cover for you, and they do well and pick up the slack. Maybe Mikel Arteta is one of those that feels, well, it doesn't mean that you can just walk back into the team when you're better. You now have to work hard to dislodge the player that's come in and been working with us for a few months while you've been out, and actually they did pretty good. And maybe that's the way he views it, because I never felt that he had a beef or anything or was unhappy with Martinelli. But at that time, I think wasn't ESR getting in then ahead of him.
But I think the lesson from this is just let Arteta do what he wants, because he was right last time. I'm just looking at the stats. Last season, ESR, 33 games, 10 goals, 2 assists, 1,900 minutes. This season, 9 games, 1 assist, 114 minutes in the Premier League.
I will say to answer Loki, I don't think that's because he's still injured, because I think that if he was injured, he wouldn't be on the bench at all. I think Mikel Arteta would rather put an academy name on the bench than have an injured player there.
Mr. Waffles wants to know, do you actually have an Etsy shop?
That's a very good question, Mr. Waffles. And I do have an Etsy shop. And if you would like to find it on Etsy, all you need to do in the search bar is put in, it's written right there. There you go. Under my name, The Gooner Shack at Etsy. And you will find an assortment of baseball caps, T-shirts, mugs, and it's mostly Arsenal. There's a couple of retro things in there. So feel free to go and take a look. And even if you don't buy anything, just leave a like or something like that. But yeah, thank you for asking. And it's been going pretty well. It's been better than I thought it would, to be honest with you. So much so that I'm thinking of maybe adding some more things to the catalogue when I can be bothered to sit at the table and get that done. I'll do some more designs and stuff. But yeah, it's going okay.
And if there's a court case about this, there's nothing to do with ABW and we don't get anything out of it.
Funnily enough, I did do a WWE New World Order styled mug from the WWF days. And Mr. Tom bought one. And then I got a cease and desist letter from the WWE. I didn't know Vince McMahon was even aware of me.
Wow. Maybe you should have said, well, I'll send you a couple of cups so we can just let me keep doing it.
So I was basically Vince McMahon writing to me going, stop selling my merchandise, god damn it. Which was, so I can't sell those anymore. So there's only one of those in existence. And Mr. Tom has it.
Bloody cat fucking bit me. Gets creeper and creeps and creeps and then start pouring at my food. Just, you need putting down. She was sitting there the other day. She's got kidney problems and she's done. She's sitting there. I could hear. Just for about half an hour. She used to be a big fat cat, but now she's all skinny and it's horrible. She used to be the clever one, but now she's an emotional wreck. Right, I was looking at the stats, and so tell my cat she's adopted. Well, of course, no, she's born in my bedroom. So her mum and her uncle were adopted. Right, we've been waffling on long enough. You freeloaders, there's nearly 2 million of you in the chat at the moment, and I've only had 3 people do predictions. That's ABW t-shirt. I just need to. I've got so much stuff I need to sort out. See, the thing is, I'll wake up and then I'll go. I've been waking up every 4 hours for a week, and then I think, go back to bed and listen to talk radio, Mike Graham or Ian Collins, and I'll be laying in bed with the duvet wrapped around me, and I think I've got stuff to do, but I'm so comfortable in bed. Yeah, and I'll have Dora in bed, on the bed with me, and so I just can't be bothered to do stuff. But one day I'll do them. What's wrong with waffling? Nothing, Mr. Waffles. Need to get you on for a show now, Mr. Waffles, now that I'm back all getting stuff done. Right, so predictions. So far, we have only got 3 predictions. Mark Backwiden has gone 2-1 the Arsenal. Loki has gone 3-2 the Arsenal. And Boy10 has gone 2-1 the Arsenal, but will be pleased to get to half-time at 0-0. Any other freeloaders putting anything in there yet? Oh, here we go. Boy 10's gone 5-3. Nketiah hat-trick. Yes, baby. It is time.
I'll take that.
So what are you going to go for?
Well, my prediction is coming from the heart and not the head, because I want to have positive, positive reinforcement. Maybe if I envisage it, it will happen. Them people you hear doing the TED Talks talking about positive stuff. I'm trying to visualize it. I want it to happen. So I'm going with I can't remember who said it in the chat box. 3-2. I'm going with that 3-2 because I do think that they're going to score goals. They're going to score goals, but obviously I want us to win. So therefore we need to score more goals. So I will take the 3-2. That's what my heart is going to will.
Le Waffles is going 4-0 the Arsenal. Phil's too stressed to predict. Arsenio Wonga's gone 10-0 City. Brady's Banana's going, I'll go 2-1 and praying. So I think that praying means 2-1 to us. Archangel, if Arteta doesn't change the system, we'll get battered 4-1. Time for my prediction. Yes. I'm going to say we're going to lose 2-0.
So you've gone with your head and not your heart. That's what you've done there.
They're the same thing. There's no separation of heart and head for me. I think logically you got to look at this. We're not going to beat them. They have got a T1000 up front. They got players that are just going to come in and bang goals all over the place. They've got a magnificent defence. They've got no injuries. We're on a bit of a dodgy run of form, and they're at home.
I think, my prediction was with my heart, but logically, I think that maybe a draw is possible. But a draw could be possible. I'm
going to go and have a look.
I want all 3 points. I want all 3 points.
I'm going to look at Man City at home in the Premier League. Win. Drew against Everton. Lost to Brentford. Win.
They're capable of losing though. They are
win.
Of losing.
And April last year they drew with Liverpool, win, and then February last year they lost to Spurs.
We are due another win coming off of the back of the draws, and maybe because they've been winning, they're due a loss. Maybe it's like that. They're due a loss. We're due a win. Maybe it works out and it all evens out on Wednesday. Since
the 21st of November 2011. They've lost at home twice and they've drawn twice. They've won the rest. I made myself feel sad reading that. It's got to end sometime, much like the pox. Exactly. It can't last forever.
Exactly.
That's how we've got to look at it. Brady wants to know who's doing the catering at City. Yes. Ibolo Toure is going to do it.
Get some lasagna in there.
Boy 10's back on the caps lock. On Wednesday, the Arsenal FC have the chance to break all the narratives. And there you go. What a great way to finish the show. Stan, if people want to follow, if they're not watching the show and they want to follow you on the wonderful Twitter, what is your at?
You can find me at Stan_the_man68. And as well as here with Danny, you can also catch me Thursdays and Sundays on the Arsenal Fan Circle.
How about your wrestling pod?
Oh, yeah. Sometimes I pop on with Mr. Tom and Tony, who do the Falls Nelson Wrestling Podcast. And that's on Wednesdays. And they also do watch-alongs of the pay-per-view events. And if there isn't a pay-per-view event, sometimes they'll vote and pick one to watch. And I'll pop on with those lads sometimes. And if you do like the wrestling talk, it's a good laugh over there sometimes. So feel free to drop in over there as well.
Yes. Cheers, Phil. Right, we will be back tomorrow night, 8:30. Me, Ellis, Gav, because Gav's agreed to do shows every other week now because the rest of ABW don't give a fuck. And it's going to be Dave Seeger, the wonderful author of many, many wonderful books.
What did he write?
So
like what? Give me a name. What did he write? Dave Seeger.
Rather than guessing, I will go and find some. I've got a load of them, but they're all in the bedroom. Dave, let's see.
Is he a sports writer or?
He's a gooner.
Oh, okay.
Arsenal and Me, I think. Maybe that was the original name for it. Oh, come on. He did the ones with did a book with a load of comedians. Everything he does is for charity.
Oh, okay. Good stuff.
Maybe I spelt Dave's name wrong. S-E. No, I haven't spelt it wrong. Why, when you put it on Amazon, doesn't it find the name, the author's name, and then bring up some things? No. Is it called Arsenal and Me? It's very annoying.
Oh, well, I suppose you can tell us tomorrow when he's on.
Yeah. If I could go into my bedroom and get the books, I would go and get them. Somebody in the chat must know one of his books. Dave used to run Gunners Town, and now he just does. He writes books. I think he's done maybe 5 or 6, and they're all very good. We'll find out tomorrow because I shall have a list of the books that he's done. That's a good enough reason to. There you go. Brady says Arsenal for Everyone. That's the one that I've got a chapter in, which is very good. I spent 2 hours talking to him about that. Right, that is it. We are now all done. We'll be back tomorrow, 8:30. Thank you very much. We'll also be back on Wednesday. It'll be Deke and me doing the post-game show. Come hell or high water, we will be there. And there might well be tears. Thank you very much, Stan.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me on. And thank you, everyone in the chat box, for joining with us this afternoon.
And that's it. Wonderful words. Goodbye.
As soon as I scored that goal, I was fucking livid. Get down, dog. Splendid business.
He nearly caught the bloody thing. What are you talking about?
So I was just eating a full quiche. Well, you don't often see them at Ibs, so when you see them in the supermarket, they need to be swagged, microwaved immediately, and get the brown sauce on and bosh, Bob's your uncle.
Never in doubt.